everybody out. Welcome to the So Memphis podcast. I'm Dontè Pryor, and this is my co-host, David Foster. We started this podcast out just to shine a beautiful light on the city of Memphis. You know, that's our whole purpose, is just to shine, make Memphis shine as best as we can. All right, and tonight we're going to start out with our first guest here, Mr. T.K. Martin. He's a good friend of ours that we've known for a while. Well, also, we just want to thank everybody for coming out to Penny's Nitty Gritty restaurant. Good food, good atmosphere, and as we see, we got a lot of good people in here tonight. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started out. So we'll start out with Mr. TK here. So my first question to you would be, would you just, we'll tell the people. So you are in the finance service industry. So if you would just start off by telling us about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So first, man, I appreciate you, brothers. You know, what you're doing for the city of Memphis is super powerful. We need the light, right? And you guys are representing that. So David, Dontè, I appreciate you, brothers.
No doubt, no doubt.
So TK Martin, I'm from Chicago, and I ended up here in Memphis because... Too dangerous city. Right.
Definitely.
I ended... Shot town. So I ended up in Memphis because, well, prior to that, I was living in Los Angeles. And my brother wanted to start a construction company. He graduated from Memphis here, and so I came to help him start a construction company. So that's what actually brought me to Memphis. And I fell in love with Memphis. Like, people don't understand, like, what you have here is a gold mine. You know, when you come from cities, larger cities, and then you come to a smaller city, you can see, like, the potential, right?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
By us all coming together and networking and be able to bring all our talents together, you know, it's going to be powerful, right?
Yeah, definitely. So good. So, well, you already went into the next thing. I was going to ask you, how did Memphis come into the equation of how?
So let me give you a little background. So
Okay.
my background is in banking.
Okay.
Right. So when I was in college, I kind of fell into banking. My girlfriend at the time was like, "You need to get a better job." I was working at a factory. Right. I was working part-time at a factory. I went to Alabama A&M. And she was like, "You need to get a better job." Yeah. So I applied to be a teller, and I was nervous. I was so nervous. But that started my career. And one thing about banking is this. You guys, you know, in banking, they teach you how to sell, but they don't give you the financial education, right? So it inspired me to want to be more in that industry, because I had clients coming to me, ask me questions. You know, I went from a teller to a banker and then an investment banker. But people would come in and ask, "Hey, you know, how do I do this?" And I had no clue. So I started educating myself on financial literacy, right? And starting with some of those basics like budgeting. It's a bad word, right? And when you can show someone how to budget, then you automatically start saving. So you can invest, right? It's a process. That's good, yeah. And so we were able to educate a lot of people in the community, and then I decided to kind of step out on my own. And I started a nonprofit where we were teaching, you know, people in the community about financial literacy. And then it just kind of grew over the years and expanded. And then it was one key I was missing: credit. Yeah. Right? So I was teaching people how to budget. Mm-hmm. I was teaching them how to save. Right. And then we were teaching them how to invest. Right. But the missing piece was the credit part.
Right. So I know that that's definitely one of the main services that you focus on. But I like the way you connected them together. And why do you think, us as black people, why do you think we're afraid of budgeting?
So here's the deal. We get so afraid of it because we think the budget is telling us what to do. But actually, we're telling our money what to do when we put it on the budget.
Wow, that's good.
And so we just got a misconception of that. Right. So.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that, in this time we're living in, there's a lot of people that are professionals, but also we have a lot of people who are broke professionals. And what I mean by that is they know exactly which weekend they can go to the club. and they know which weekend they got to stay at home. Right? We've become professional at budgeting ourselves, but we're budgeting ourselves being broke. Right? So we know which week we want to get our hair done, which week we're going to go grocery shopping. How do we solve that problem? I think I may know the answer, but I really want you to tackle that. How do you think that we can, better solve that problem with budgeting and maybe money management?
Yeah. So here's the key. I coach a lot of professionals, right, when it comes to being able to manage their money properly. And the biggest reason why they mismanage the money is because they don't have a big enough why.
Wow. That's good.
Right? So your why is actually going to drive you to want to focus on being able to tell your money what to do. Right. But if you don't have a big enough why, then it's okay for you to splurge, right? I'll do it next time, right? Or procrastinate. And so we dive deep into the why. And once we find out what that why is, then it's easy to tell your money what to do. Yeah. Right? Because you have a mission.
That's good. That's good. I like the way you said that, telling your money what to do. Expand on that a little bit more for us.
Right. So if we don't give our money a mission, what's going to happen is every time something comes up, your cousin call you and say, hey, let me get $40, right? Your money's going out. When a neighbor needs help because their car got stuck, guess what you're doing? You're going to help them, but you're spending money. But when you have a mission for your money, then it's like, hey, cuz, I'm sorry. I can't help you this time because my money is already on a mission. Yeah. It has a purpose.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I asked this question for me, for what advice would you give us as parents that have children? What kind of financial advice would you give us to help them?
You ready for this, Dontè?
Sure.
Okay, so
I need it.
So here's the deal when it comes to family, right, and the kids. Your kids are a reflection of you. Whatever you do, they will follow. Yeah, it's true. Right? It's true. So if they see you being able to be a good steward of your money, they're going to follow suit. It's just how it works, right? You can look at any household, and when you meet the child and then you meet the parent, you're going to be like, it's a reflection, true. Right? So the biggest thing you can do is you can show good money habits and let them get involved. When I was a kid, the insurance man used to come over to my grandma and say, get out of grown folks' business. Yep. Right? But we need to involve our kids in our business so that they can know how to handle business. If we keep kicking them out every time we have a business conversation, how can they learn? They can't. Yeah. Right? So we got to include them.
That's good. I like that. So let's we'll allow the audience to maybe throw us some questions or something. Maybe Mr. TK here can help, or David or myself. You can direct him at either of us. He's our guest, so more likely let's burn the guest up.
I have a question. I have an 8-year-old. When you said how do we deal with our kids, I have an 8-year-old, and his tooth fell out, and I put $2 on his pillow, and I told him that grandma left him $2. He said that ain't what I asked grandma for. I asked grandma to give you a bigger credit card with your name on it. And so, how do you deal with a child like that? And even though I really budget because I own businesses, so I do budget. How do I deal with an 8-year-old that wants his mama to get a bigger credit card?
Let me say something real quick. I think that's phenomenal that you guys are even having that conversation. Hey, I think that's great. I think that's to be applauded. I think that's something that we need to see more of. But also what we need to do in our communities is we need to understand our children are going to be adults longer than their children. And so what I mean by that is we need to start like TK said, involving them in our business. And so we should have real conversation with them. And also, I think that was probably a good opportunity to let them know, what's really going on and where the money really came from, so he can start to value the money. And so, but it's great that you guys are even having that conversation about money, and he even is talking about credit cards, because I know we live in the information age and everything's readily accessible via Google. We got AI coming in, and really taking over, doing things. But I would say that start involving him in like real life scenario and situation. So like this $2 can buy you this, or if you put this $2 with another $2, then you can buy this, and start using those situations to be able to teach him real life, real world issues that he can apply later on in life. That's what I think.
Okay, well, maybe you ain't understanding my question.
All right.
Because he's an 8-year-old that has an IQ of 125.
Yeah.
So he understands money.
Okay.
He understands exchange. I had to block my cards because he keeps trying to order robots.
Yeah.
He knows how to budget. He knows where money goes. He knows that money don't grow on trees, because that's what our grandma used to say, money don't grow on trees.
Right.
So I tell him money don't grow on trees, but he think it does. Even though we, like you said, we have those conversations.
Right.
How do I get him to really understand that you can't spend more money on 400 out of Roblox?
First of all, don't tell him that $2 came from grandma.
With that his teeth fall out.
I mean, you on one end you say you want to treat him in reality, but another end you raise him up in the realm of where it's not real.
Yeah, don't let Santa Claus get the credit.
Yeah, that's the part right there.
And so you have to find a creative way to merge those worlds. I know that he's a kid, and you definitely don't want to strip his, him being a kid from him. But I think that's the crux of your issue. If you start right there.
Yeah, this is what you want to do. You want to start a business for him. Find out what he wants, right? So my niece, she graduate in May. Let's see. So she was in elementary school. The kids love slime, right? They love slime. So what we did was started a slime business. So they would make the slime at home and then go sell it at school, right? So this way they can start earning their own money. That's what your son needs to start doing, so he can understand where the money's coming from, right?
Yeah,
so find out what his passion is.
Yeah, that's good.
Sign up, Weather. So, okay, awesome. So find a way where you can create a business around that so that he can start bringing in income.
Yeah. Good. Definitely. We'll take some more questions from the crowd. Anybody?
So for someone who has never done a budget before, how would you recommend they start?
I'm glad you asked. So I want to challenge everybody to go and pull the last 3 months of their bank statements, okay? And then I want you to highlight all the things that you are buying that you don't need, okay? All the subscriptions and the memberships. I want you to add that up. We call that's your extra fat. That's the fat in your budget, okay? You're going to add that up over the past 3 months, and I guarantee you're going to have at least a minimum of $500, right? Minimum. Now, people have more. They just don't want to share with me, right? So I have to get the statements myself and go highlight stuff. But it's there. And so once you find that extra money, you'll be surprised on how you're going to be able to pay down extra debt. We get comfortable with being in a position where we don't have enough, even though we do have enough. It's just where we're putting our money, right? But that'd be the first step. You're welcome.
Good. And so again, great question, by the way. Let's kind of touch on credit a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's kind of touch on that. Go that way. I know you got a few team members here. You guys have touched thousands upon lives. Your network expands across I know at least the country from maybe the world.
Yeah.
But touch on credit a little bit and how important that is and what we do day to day.
Absolutely. So credit is one of those things that we didn't get taught when we were growing up. and it's very valuable. Some of our parents were scared of credit because they didn't know how to use it properly. But now, it's no reason for people to have bad credit. It's too many resources. It's too many resources. So some of the things that you need to know about credit that's super powerful. The first thing you need to know is, how is your score calculated? You got to learn the rules of the game if you want to win, right? So payment history, you got to make on-time payments, right? It makes up 35% of your credit score. I don't think this is fair, so don't blame me, right? But if you make one late payment, it's going to drop your score anywhere from 50 to 100 points, right? One late payment. The other thing that you got to be aware of is your utilization. That makes up 30% of your credit score. And the reason why this is important, guys, is because you got to learn the rules. So if you learn the rules, you can be in the game. It's really important. So 30% is the utilization. Well, what's that? That comes from credit cards. So let's say if you have a $1,000 credit card, you don't want to spend more than $300 on that card. If you do, your credit score is going to start to decrease. Why? Because that's the rules of the game, right? So this is what you want to do. This is how you get high credit limits, and this is how you get a high credit score when it comes to the utilization. There are two dates. There's a due date and a statement date, right? Of course, everybody knows when the due date is. That's when my bill is due, okay? But the statement date is when the credit card company reports to the credit bureau. You want to call the credit card company and say, hey, when is my statement date? Once you find that out, make sure you pay your balance off before the statement date, okay? Now, it's going to do a couple of things for you. It's going to let the credit card companies know you know how to manage credit properly, and what they're going to do, increase your credit limit, right? The credit bureau is going to say, okay, let me increase your credit score because your utilization is low. So if you pay your credit card off each month at a zero balance before the statement date, they're going to report your balance at zero. It's going to increase your score. And then you can go use the credit card again if you have to, right? But that's the key of getting high limit credit cards. As adults, we should have $25,000, $55,000, $80,000 credit card limits. That's a whole nother conversation because you need to learn how to leverage your credit for profits, right? And most people don't know how to do that, right? So those are the two major factors you need to know when it comes to calculating your credit score, right?
Yeah,
so
that's great.
Super powerful.
Yeah, great insight. Yeah, no. You want to touch on, go ahead, leverage a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to leveraging your credit, you want to make sure that you have the higher limits so that you can do grown-up things. And what I mean is you can actually use a credit card to purchase a business. Did you know that? You can use a credit card to do a rehab on a property instead of us going out and spending credit shopping, right? Unless you're paying the balance off. Yeah. But we're not going to just buy stuff. You bought a T-shirt 10 years ago and you still paying interest on it because you're not paying off the credit card. Yeah, that's not how it works, right? So we just need to be aware of how we're using that and how we're leveraging. Here's another thing, David. Most people don't talk about this, and I want you guys to get this. This is so cool. So for years, as an entrepreneur, I did not know that there was something called business credit. I used to drive down the street and see all these companies coming up. Like, where are they getting this money from? I see contractors with these projects going up. I'm like, where is the money coming from? Because I'm using my money and my credit cards. My credit is tanking because my utilization is high because I'm trying to start a business, right? I want this business to be successful. I'm taking food from my family because I'm using our household money because this is the dream, right? Mm-hmm. Well. Here come Mr. Business Credit. Yeah. So I found out that you can actually fund your business with your business. You don't have to use your personal credit or your personal money. So you guys got to look into that because I was able to do a lot, right? And on the business side, your credit lines are so much larger because your business credit isn't based off of utilization. It's based off of your payment history. So the more business credit you use, the more they want to give you, right? So it's just so important that you get in position to do that. And, we coach so many people on that, and it's a blessing because it feels like a load has been lifted off of them, right? Because they've been taken from their family mouth for so long, and now they have a way where they can actually leverage their business to get the funding they need to have a successful business.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. Real good stuff. A lot of the things you just spoke about, I think I learned them in the last 2 years. The business credit and all of that. But before we end, you was giving us so much information here. Hopefully everyone took a few notes. Maybe catch them afterwards and pull them to the side, get a little something from them. But is there anything you want to just leave us with, something just you want to leave the people with, that they can take home with them?
Absolutely. So I just want everyone to know that they can be, do, and have any and everything they desire, right? And, we're in an age right now where people want to manifest. I'm a manifester,
Yeah.
I'm going to make this come. I love it.
Speaking
I
into
love
existence.
it, right? I'm all about that, right? You speak those things that be not as though they were.
There you go.
But faith without
Works.
is dead.
Yes, sir.
That's,
All day.
That's the part that people are missing, is that we're getting away from the work, right? Bringing things into existence, manifesting, right? That goes hand in hand. And when you use those and you roll your sleeves up and go to work, we didn't build an $8 million business by just manifesting, right? We pulled our sleeves up and we went to work.
Yeah.
And so that's the piece that people are missing. I want to encourage people to get back to the basics. Do the work. Here's the other thing too. Before you can start investing, so many people want to invest and get a return before they actually do the active work. Get a job. Get some active income coming in, right?
One.
So you can have a source.
Yeah.
Before I went full flat, well, I'm gonna tell y'all, entrepreneurship goes up and down. So I've had to go back to work. I had to go back to work. But over this last time, I made sure I stayed at my job 3 years, even though I was earning over 6 figures part-time in the business, because I was saving my money, right, for a rainy day. And once I saw how secure that was and I had plenty of money in the bank, then I left that and then I started investing. But that's the number one thing you got to, make sure that you're doing. Put the work in, right? Yes, have that positive mindset so it can come faster, but those two go hand in hand.
Sound like you budgeted.